immersed into this world, into a safe space where you can detach and explore your emotions without the risk of judgment from anyone. And that's the starting point, I would say, for bibliotherapy, and using literature and narrative as a prompt for exploring your own emotions as you start to connect with the world of the characters, with the emotions that they're evoking in you. And, you know, when I look at Freud, I very much look at him as a storyteller using stories to help people heal, as opposed to somebody who is studying someone's mind or brain. I think it all starts with stories. And I do feel like stories are our first language before we even, you know, learn words, because of the symbolism, because of the meaning, and it's that connection that we feel with stories. And you know, that's the essence of, you know, of human connection. I think we all connect with each other through each other's stories. So I think that element of storytelling, being the writer and then being the reader, being the receiver of those stories, is, you know, it's a very vital relationship. When you read, you're building a relationship with the author.
That's fascinating. I think a lot with the therapeutic process, I imagine that a lot of people come in and they're sort of expected to sort of talk about feelings, but a lot of things are very tangled up, that they're not actually quite a story yet. I think that may be something that I think I've almost noticed is often with sort of feelings, there's an inability to be able to sort of organize them in a way that actually makes sense. And I think that often when you feel distressed, it's sort of this sense of like, well, I don't know, I imagine, have you ever had a client come in and be like, I don't know where to start? And I think that that's probably something that is a sort of overwhelming feature in which I could see sort of bibliotherapy, or I think when I've worked with sort of more creative writing for wellness, or I think a lot of my research at the moment is I work with chronic pain patients. And I think that whilst that's not necessarily, I mean, of course there's so much overlap with mental health, but I think that the experience of hurting is not really a beginning and an end story. Sometimes it can just be like, I feel bad and this kind of sucks, and I don't even know, like, if you say, well, I don't know, what words do you feel? They want to be like, ow. So I think that there's very much so a space then of like that sort of really, I don't want to use the word like cathartic, but perhaps cathartic recognition that you can get in finding out that actually this has been put into a story before.
Yeah.
And I'm not actually, that can help you detangle sort of your own things through that. And I think that that's something that is really powerful and cool about what you're sort of working with.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think that, I think you mentioned the recognition that we feel when we read other people's stories. And I think Caroline Schroed's, whose work has really influenced my work, she's I would say, a pioneering bibliotherapist from the 1950s. And she talks about something called the shock of recognition. Like when you read about something, you're like, oh my God, that's my experience. I think that is the starting point. But when we start to see ourselves represented, seen, heard, witnessed by the language, by the writing, and that's where we start to, you know, connect with our inner emotions that sometimes we've found tricky to. And I think where your work comes in really nicely is that it's normally those emotions of pain that we're looking to explore when we read. So not all the time, because we obviously read for escapism, but when we are reading for therapy, for therapeutic value, it's that pain that we're sort of trying to connect with, process, hold.